Welcome, traveler. Tonight we drift into 120 Minecraft weapon and armor facts, a long, gentle journey through the stories and secrets hidden inside the quiet hum of the game's most ancient tools, the blades and shields, the helmets and enchantments that have guarded dreamers since the world first loaded into light. This is not a tale of battle, but of balance, of how every sword is also a memory, and every piece of armor a soft promise whispered between survival and imagination. As you listen, let the rhythm slow. Hear the sound of your own breath like the swing of a sword through still air. Feel the calm weight of armor that has seen 1,000 nights, and know that even in this blocky world, peace and power can exist together. We will wander softly from wood to stone, from diamond to netherite, from the hush of enchantment to the philosophy of strength itself. If you'd like more quiet worlds like this, I invite you to subscribe to let these stories find you again when you need to rest. Tell me, gently, where are you listening from tonight? Somewhere warm? Somewhere quiet? Somewhere the torchlight flickers softly against the walls, and the world outside feels just far enough away? Settle in. The tools are waiting, the armor gleams under torchlight, and the world, eternal and patient, begins to hum its ancient lullaby once more. Fact 1. Before the age of polished blades and enchanted armor, combat in Minecraft was nothing but instinct, fists against the wild, courage against the void. In the earliest versions, before hunger, before shields, there was only survival, and survival was a rhythm of striking and retreating. The wooden sword became humanity's first answer to the darkness, a fragile symbol of defiance carved from the same trees that built shelter. Every swing felt primitive yet pure, a whisper of the world's first heartbeat, when fear and curiosity were the same thing, and even a stick held power because it was wielded by hope. Fact 2. The crafting table itself is a relic of battle's birth, a sacred altar where wood met stone and survival learned to shape itself. Its 4 squares were a quiet revolution, a way to turn raw nature into protection, to transform vulnerability into invention. When the first player placed planks and sticks in its grid, the world shifted. Combat became creation. The sound of crafting, that soft wooden clack, is the echo of firelight flickering in early shelters, the sound of intelligence awakening, learning that even danger can be sculpted into beauty. Fact 3. The first sword was not a tool of aggression, but of control, a way to push back the wilderness long enough to build something worth keeping. Its shape, long, narrow, and deliberate, was humanity's promise to the game, that fear would become art. Wooden blades broke, stone dulled, iron sang, and through each iteration, the weapon became less about harm and more about purpose. To hold a sword was to hold the story of persistence, of the will to carve meaning into an uncaring world made of cubes and chance. Fact 4. Axes were born from practicality, not warfare. Yet they carried the essence of both. In the beginning, every strike that felled a tree also hinted at a future battle, the understanding that strength was a resource and tools could become weapons if need demanded it. The axe's heavy rhythm taught players the poetry of timing, of patience, of sound and recoil. It was the heartbeat of survival itself, pulsing through the wood and echoing in the air. And when the game later gave it power against armor, it wasn't a change, it was a remembering. Fact 5. The bow entered the world not with noise but with silence, a quiet arc of tension, a line drawn between life and loss. Long before enchantments gave it glow, the bow existed as breath, the inhale before release, the space between decision and destiny. In early Minecraft, arrows were precious, every shot a gamble of resources and precision. Yet each one carried dignity, the idea that distance could be wisdom, that battle did not always mean collision. The bow was the whisperer's weapon, patient, thoughtful, inevitable. Fact 6. Armor came later, like a dream after a nightmare. When the first pieces of leather were wrapped around the player, they were not fashion but forgiveness, a soft shield between the fragile and the unknown. Leather armor was humble, imperfect, often dyed with the color of memory. It reminded players that protection was not about invincibility but comfort, the feeling of being held, even by pixels. In its creases and seams lived the story of every cow, every hide, every desperate night survived by the thin strength of hope. Fact 7. Combat itself was never meant to define Minecraft, only to test its heart. The game began as creation's child, a place of peace interrupted by necessity. When monsters emerged, it wasn't cruelty but balance, the night teaching players the value of light. The first battles were clumsy, almost tender, the awkward dance of new beginnings. Yet in that struggle was something deeply human, the joy of improvement, the quiet satisfaction of learning to face what frightened us and remain. Fact 8. The earliest players told stories of their battles as myths, tales of creepers met with stone swords, of skeletons outsmarted with walls of dirt. Those stories, shared across forums and servers, became the first oral history of the game, proof that survival was more than mechanics, it was meaning. Each retelling added poetry to the pixels, courage to the clicks, triumph to the lag. The community itself became the armor that held the world together, a chorus of storytellers who learned that the greatest weapon is memory. Fact 9. Even the humblest weapon carries the echo of the forge. The furnace, the crafting table, the anvil, all these were born from the same desire, to refine chaos. The first time metal met fire in the game, something ancient was reenacted, the primal moment when creation and destruction learned they were siblings. Iron tools were not just stronger, they were wiser, a symbol that progress is not only invention, but remembrance, remembering how to turn danger into light, ore into purpose, heat into hope. Fact 10. In the quiet history of Minecraft, combat is less about violence and more about rhythm, the balance between breaking and building. The first wooden sword, the last enchanted blade, the shield that glows under torchlight, all are chapters in the same story, the human desire to survive beautifully. Every battle is temporary, every weapon finite, yet each swing writes a poem into the air. In this world of endless rebirth, the tools we hold are never just for fighting. They are for learning how to keep living, one peaceful strike at a time. Fact 11. Iron changed everything. Where wood splintered and stone shattered, iron endured a quiet gleam beneath the earth that promised permanence. The first ingot drawn from the furnace felt like civilization itself, awakening, the world yielding not only survival but mastery. Iron was humanity's handshake with the planet, an agreement between miner and mountain that strength could be forged, not found. Its tools rang sharper, its armor gleamed like dusk light, and from that moment the overworld began to feel less like wilderness and more like home, a place where progress hummed with every strike of the anvil. Fact 12. The iron sword carried a special rhythm heavier than stone, cleaner than diamond. It sang when it struck. To swing one was to feel momentum itself made tangible, a perfect weight balanced between safety and danger. It wasn't the weapon of beginners or masters, but of those in between players who had learned enough to stand but not enough to forget humility. In the sound of clashing iron there was confidence, yes, but also restraint. the understanding that real strength is quiet, and that every victory should echo softly through the caverns rather than roar. Fact 13. The iron pickaxe is the unsung hero of creation. With it came the ability to reach deeper, to uncover diamond, redstone, and gold, the lifeblood of discovery itself. Iron's resilience became the bridge between the early struggle and the age of wonder, its silver-gray surface reflecting torchlight like dawn breaking underground. It taught players patience, that progress was earned one block at a time, each swing a meditation. The pickaxe, more than any sword or armor, was the player's truest weapon against the unknown, not in combat, but in persistence. Fact 14. When the first iron armor was worn, it must have felt like invincibility, wrapped in sound, that soft metallic clink that marked safety. It was humanity's first real shell, crafted not from fear but from foresight. Leather was warmth, but iron was certainty. Each plate fit like a promise that the world's cruelty could be met with patience and flame. Yet, even encased in metal, players found beauty in vulnerability, the understanding that protection didn't erase danger, it simply gave courage the chance to speak more softly. Fact 15. The furnace was the heart of the Iron Age, a quiet companion whose glow turned ore into destiny. Its fire was both ancient and domestic, its hum like a lullaby beneath the earth. Players learned to wait, to smelt, to watch, to listen as the transformation occurred. The furnace became more than a tool, it was a ritual. Every ingot pulled from its orange light was a prayer answered, a reminder that strength isn't taken but earned through patience, through process, through the steady act of tending something that burns. Fact 16. Iron golems were the world's first guardians, not born, but built from compassion. Created to protect the weak, they stand as the game's purest example of strength without cruelty. Their eyes glow like cooled embers. Their steps shake the ground softly, a reminder that power need not roar to be felt. Villagers revere them because they embody the dream of the forge that creation can defend as much as it destroys. Every time a golem swings its massive arm to drive away a threat, it's the world remembering that kindness, too, can be forged in iron. Fact 17. Iron doors were humanity's first deliberate boundary, a declaration that space could be sacred, that safety could be designed. Their heavy click was the sound of privacy entering the game, of homes gaining hearts. Unlike wooden doors, they did not yield easily. They demanded circuitry, intention, planning. Iron doors taught players that protection and isolation often walk together, that every boundary built keeps something out, but also something in. Yet their strength brought peace, that quiet relief of hearing the mechanism seal and knowing, just for a moment, that the night could be kept at bay. Fact 18. Anvils arrived like memory incarnate, heavy, eternal singing of history each time they struck. They were the world's first language of repair, the bridge between breaking and continuation. Every clang was an act of remembrance, a sword reforged, an armor reborn, a promise that no creation truly ends. The anvil's slow wear, over time its cracks and creases are its poetry, the visible scars of generosity. Through it, players learned that care is cyclical, that to mend is nobler than to replace, and that even metal grows weary yet beautiful when loved enough. Fact 19. The bucket, humble and overlooked, is iron's most intimate triumph. With it, players first carried the world water, lava, life itself in their hands. The bucket blurred the line between weapon and tool, its contents capable of creation or destruction with equal grace. To place lava was to wield fire. To pour water was to calm it. Iron, shaped into a simple circle, taught mastery of elements that control comes, not from domination, but from balance, from holding danger gently without spilling. Every bucket is a quiet universe contained. Fact 20. Iron marked the dawn of craftsmanship's maturity, a time when survival became artistry. The overworld's veins glimmered with purpose, each ingot drawn forth a note in a grand symphony of progress. It was the era when players began to look not only downward into mines, but outward toward community, structure, meaning. Iron is the soul of the mid-game, the gentle hum between struggle and triumph. It whispers of perseverance, of fires tended carefully, of strength found not in rarity, but in reliability. It is the heartbeat of creation's steady middle chapter. Fact 21. Gold has always been the contradiction of Minecraft, delicate as sunlight, soft as memory. It breaks easily, dulls quickly, and yet no other metal gleams so beautifully in the torchlight. To hold gold is to feel wealth that refuses usefulness, a luxury that shatters after a few strikes. It is the metal of kings and fools alike, radiant, impractical, and adored. Players learned early that gold's worth was not in survival, but in symbolism. It was beauty for beauty's sake, a reminder that even in a world built for endurance, there must be room for vanity, for art, for the shimmer that serves no purpose but joy. Fact 22. When golden tools first entered the game, many mocked them bright toys pretending to be strong. But those who crafted them noticed something strange. They were fast, brief, dazzling speed before inevitable decay. It felt poetic brilliance that burns too quickly, like fireworks in a silent sky. Gold was the metal of impermanence, a lesson disguised as luxury. It taught players that not every advantage lasts, that sometimes beauty is meant to fade, that even in a world of infinite durability, there is grace in things that gleam fiercely for a moment and then vanish quietly into dust. Fact 23. Golden armor was never made for war. It was made for ceremony. To wear it is to walk like sunlight through shadow, glowing softly against the gloom of caves and the void of night. Piglins recognize its sanctity, bowing instinctively to its gleam, as though it carries an ancient memory. And perhaps it does. Gold is the oldest light, the echo of stars long fallen. When wrapped around a player, it turns danger into pageantry, every swing a performance, every battle a coronation. Gold armor doesn't protect the body, it protects the idea that beauty, too, deserves to survive. Fact 24. The golden apple is myth made tangible, the fruit of second chances. Its surface glows like dawn trapped in glass, its taste like healing remembered. To eat one is to borrow immortality, to be forgiven briefly by the world. The enchanted variant, wrapped in shimmering foil, once promised godhood, a momentary glimpse of perfection before decay. In a game about cycles of death and rebirth, the golden apple became the holy relic of persistence, the edible prayer whispered between battles. It is not just food. It is faith that no fall is final, no loss eternal, that light always finds a way to bloom again. Fact 25. Gold's softness makes it the gentlest metal, one that refuses to harm the world it comes from. It doesn't strike stone cleanly, doesn't carve deeply, it touches lightly, as if afraid to hurt. In that way, gold became the pacifist's weapon, a tool that glimmers more than it cuts, a companion for those who build for beauty rather than conquest. There's a quiet morality to it, a reminder that strength need not always be efficient. Sometimes the most human thing we can do is create something fragile, knowing it will break, and love it more for that impermanence. Fact 26. Piglins' reverence for gold feels older than the nether itself, instinctual, ritualistic. They clutch their ingots like talismans, trading with trembling hands, eyes reflecting molten devotion. To them, gold is not currency but comfort, proof that even in eternal fire, something still glows softly, untarnished. Players who wear gold find peace among them, protected by the same ancient reverence. It is as if the metal carries memory, a promise between dimensions that once, long ago, the nether was not only wrath and ruin, but beauty, a cathedral of golden light buried beneath its own ashes. Fact 27. Golden carats became the nourishment of luxury, the silent feast of explorers and potion makers. Their brightness defied the dull palate of survival, a spark of warmth amid hunger. They are proof that even necessity can be made beautiful, that sustenance and artistry can share a table. Each golden carat hums faintly with the same energy as enchanted light, glowing from within like a small sundae. When eaten, it brings clarity, literal in night vision, symbolic in stillness. It is the food of peace, the taste of calm courage in a world where everything else fades into shadow. Fact 28. The golden clock is one of Minecraft's most poetic inventions, a useless luxury that measures what cannot be controlled. Its face spins endlessly between day and night, reflecting not progress but passage. To craft one is to admit you care about time, even in a world that loops forever. Its ticking is invisible, but its meaning clear, that rhythm matters, that patience is art. In the flicker of its needle lives the pulse of the overworld, a golden heartbeat keeping company with miners lost deep below. It doesn't tell you when, it simply reminds you that time still flows. Fact 29. Golden tools shimmer even as they break, as if reluctant to die without a final flourish. Their glow lingers on the ground for a heartbeat longer than any other item, a tiny defiance against impermanence. This shimmer, for some, is superstition, the soul of gold, refusing to be forgotten. Others see it as the world's bow, a gesture of gratitude for beauty that dared to exist. Every golden tool that fades into pixels leaves behind a lesson softer than any enchantment, that even the most fragile things can make the world brighter simply by being brave enough to shine. Fact 30. Gold in Minecraft is not about survival, it's about remembering why we survive. Its fragility teaches restraint, its glow inspires artistry. It asks us to slow down, to admire rather than conquer, to collect moments instead of trophies. When you hold a golden sword, you're not arming yourself, you're holding a symbol of impermanence, the reminder that beauty, though fleeting, is still worth the effort of creation. In a universe of endless mining and crafting, gold is the pause, the deep breath, the flicker of sunlight that says, even in this world of squares, wonder still curves softly. Fact 31. Diamonds are the heartbeat of Minecraft's mythology, that faint shimmer buried deep beneath the weight of the world, the treasure every miner dreams of but rarely finds. When the first blue gem glows against the torchlight, it feels like destiny answering quietly. Diamonds are patience crystallized, the world's reward for faith and courage. To hold one is to touch time itself, pressure, heat, and history transformed into beauty. No other resource carries such reverence. No other sound compares to that sharp chime when the ore breaks. It is less discovery than communion, the mountain whispering, "You've earned this light." Fact 32. The diamond sword is not just a weapon, it's a symbol. When it was first introduced, it instantly became the dream every player carried, the perfect balance of elegance and endurance. Its blade gleams like frozen lightning, its edges reflecting torchlight like water. To craft it is to reach a threshold, the moment when struggle becomes mastery. Many players never forget their first, remembering the cave, the crafting table, the anticipation before that first swing. The diamond sword isn't merely strong, it's sacred, a tool that transforms fear into grace, proof that perseverance can carve beauty from darkness. Fact 33. Diamond armor carries a silence unlike any other. The sound of footsteps softened by confidence, the soft glint of safety under the moon. When worn, it feels almost ceremonial, like donning the sky itself. It is the armor of legends, the proof of devotion to the long journey. Each piece, forged from countless hours below ground, tells a story of endurance, of lava narrowly avoided, of monsters conquered, of tunnels carved with hope. When you emerge wearing diamond, the world seems gentler, not because it has changed, but because you have stronger, steadier, unafraid of the night. Fact 34. There is poetry in how rare diamond truly is, the balance between risk and reward that defines Minecraft's rhythm. Players descend into the deep, past layers of stone and silence, guided only by instinct and courage. When that faint blue glimmer appears, it feels personal, like the world revealing its heart. Every diamond found carries weight, not just in crafting power, but in memory. They remind us that even in endless randomness, persistence creates meaning. Diamonds are the world's way of saying, you stayed, you searched, you believed there was something worth finding. Fact 35. Diamond tools hum with permanence, each swing like a quiet declaration of progress. They are not fast like gold or modest like iron. They are steady, deliberate, eternal. The diamond pickaxe especially has become an icon, the one item that transcends updates and versions, unchanged in spirit. Its light blue hue mirrors the sky players rarely see while mining, a piece of heaven carried underground. Every block broken by it feels cleaner, more meaningful, as though the world acknowledges the achievement. To craft one is to mark a milestone. To use one is to move with purpose. Fact 36. The sound of mining diamond ore is the game's most intimate music. That crisp crackle beneath the torch's hum, that faint sparkle of promise. Players pause before breaking the last block, a small ritual of gratitude, a moment to breathe. Diamonds make even silence sacred. The gems seem to glow brighter the longer you look, as if aware of their own rarity. And when they finally drop into your hand, the satisfaction is deeper than material wealth. It is the universe rewarding patience, the proof that persistence, when carried gently, can turn darkness into light. Fact 37. In multiplayer lore, diamond became currency long before emeralds, not for trading, but for trust. To give someone a diamond was to honor them, to say, I've gone deep for you. Players built vaults and shrines, storing them not as items but as relics. Servers developed legends around diamond hoards, tales of betrayal, generosity, and discovery. Diamonds connected people the way myths connect generations. They were more than items. They were proof of presence, of hours invested, of friendship carved in stone. Each gem carried a story, and stories, like diamonds, never truly break. Fact 38. When enchantments arrived, diamonds found their voice. The deep blue glow of an enchanted blade felt like the gem itself finally breathing. The soul of the earth awakened. Sharpness, protection, unbreaking. These weren't upgrades. They were blessings. Blessings that extended the gem's life and purpose. To see purple shimmer along a diamond edge was to see time layered on time, the material world touched by magic. Enchanted diamond tools became sacred artifacts, proof that even perfection can still evolve, that beauty, when treated with reverence, becomes something infinite. Fact 39. Every diamond vein tells a small story about courage. It lies in dangerous places near lava, under shadow, beside silence. To reach it often means risk, the edge of safety flickering red. The game teaches this without words, that treasure is rarely found in comfort. To mine, diamond is to flirt with loss, to trust that the light of your torch is enough. And when you succeed, when you lift that gem from the heat, you feel not pride, but peace, the quiet relief of having walked through fire and returned carrying stars in your hand. Fact 40. Diamonds in Minecraft are more than a resource. They are a language, a story of endurance told in blue and shine. They represent the arc of the player's journey, from fear to skill, from chaos to grace. Even in the age of netherite, their symbolism endures not because they are strongest, but because they were first to teach what true strength is. They are the game's oldest prayer, that light is worth the labor, that beauty is worth the patience, that the deepest darkness always conceals something radiant, waiting to be found. Fact 41. Netherite is not mined, it is earned. Hidden deep within the molten bones of the nether, it asks for patience unlike anything before it. Ancient debris lies buried in silence, immune to explosions, unbothered by time. When found, it feels like unearthing memory itself, the fossil of a world before light. Smelted into scrap and fused with gold, netherite is born not from greed but from perseverance, a union of endurance and elegance. It is the only metal that does not burn, proof that strength forged in fire learns to become flame. Every netherite ingot hums softly, as though it remembers every storm it survived. Fact 42. Upgrading diamond to netherite feels more like transcendence than crafting. It isn't a replacement, it's a ritual. Players place their proudest achievements on the smithing table, watching light and darkness merge in quiet ceremony. The moment the diamond turns obsidian black, it feels alive, heavy with wisdom. Netherite tools are not brighter, but deeper, their edges swallowing torchlight instead of reflecting it. They carry a kind of gravity, as though the world bends slightly to respect them. To wear or wield netherite is to acknowledge the long path from wood to stone to fire, a journey completed. Fact 43. Ancient debris is the rarest song the nether sings, silent, defiant, beautiful. It cannot be melted by lava, cannot be destroyed by explosion, cannot be hurried. Its veins run like forgotten veins of the world's first heartbeat, scattered through heat and shadow. Finding even one block feels like being chosen, like the world whispering, "You've come far enough." The debris glows faintly in the dark, a heartbeat trapped in stone, waiting for transformation. To touch it is to touch endurance itself, proof that even in chaos, something ancient remains patient, waiting to become whole again. Fact 44. Netherite's resistance to fire makes it a paradox of beauty born in flame, yet untouchable by it. When items fall into lava, they vanish without farewell, but netherite floats, gleaming like a secret moon upon the molten surface. It is the world's quiet promise that some things cannot be destroyed by the very forces that made them. That floating ingot has become a symbol of rebirth, of resilience, of what remains when all else burns away. In that glow, players see themselves shaped by danger, surviving because of it, shimmering softly atop the fire that once consumed them. Fact 45. Netherite armor is the final dream of survival, not just protection, but pride incarnate. When worn, it looks ancient, regal, as though it has known centuries of battles and victories. Its dark sheen swallows color, turning light into depth. Unlike the brilliance of diamond, netherite's beauty is quiet, its confidence self-contained. Players who don it move differently, slower, surer, like warriors who no longer need to prove their strength. In that muted glow lies wisdom, that true power is not what shines the brightest, but what endures longest in silence. Fact 46. Every netherite tool bears the faint whisper of the forge, a low, resonant hum that seems to follow the player. Some say it's imagination, others swear they can hear it echo when mining through basalt deltas. It's the sound of transformation immortalized, the murmur of molten history. When used, these tools feel purposeful, not just instruments, but extensions of the world's rhythm. Each strike seems slower but surer, every block broken, deliberate, reverent. Netherite doesn't rush. It teaches you to move with the patience of lava itself, unstoppable, inevitable, and endlessly alive beneath the crust. Fact 47. The creation of netherite was not merely an update, it was the game remembering its own mythology. For years, diamond reigned as the symbol of perfection, but perfection needs challenge. The nether, once feared and neglected, became the new forge of meaning. Players returned to the fire, rediscovering danger as beauty. Netherite's introduction rebalanced everything, reminding the world that growth never ends, that even mastery can evolve. It was an act of storytelling through mechanics, a reminder that the journey isn't about reaching the top, but finding new reasons to keep climbing. Fact 48. There is a strange poetry in netherite's fusion with gold, a marriage of fragility and fireproof strength. Gold, the symbol of fleeting beauty, and debris, the essence of endurance, combine to form eternity. It's as if the world itself decided that survival must still contain elegance, that even invincibility needs a touch of grace. Each netherite ingot carries that duality. It is the perfection of imperfection, proof that the strongest things are built not from dominance, but from harmony, the soft glow of gold teaching the hard stone how to shimmer again. Fact 49. The netherite upgrade smithing table stands as the quiet altar of transformation, unassuming, practical, but sacred in purpose. Its use is simple, yet profoundly symbolic. To reach the highest form of strength, you must return to creation's heart. Every sound it makes, that muted metallic chime, feels ceremonial, like the ringing of a temple bell deep in molten cathedrals. Players who upgrade here experience a pause, a silence filled with reverence. The smithing table doesn't craft new tools, it blesses old ones, preserving their history while giving them the resilience of flame. Fact 50. Netherite represents completion, not an ending, but an eternal state of readiness. It is the material that laughs at time, that remembers every stage of its becoming: wood's fragility, stone's endurance, iron's purpose, diamond's purity. In netherite they all converge. It is the soul of the world wearing armor. Players who reach it have learned patience, exploration, courage, and care, the four virtues of survival. And yet, even after crafting a full set, the world continues, whispering that perfection is not stillness, but continuation. Netherite is not the final chapter. It is the silence before the next beginning. Fact 51. The enchantment table is less a workstation and more an altar, a sacred intersection of intellect and mystery. Crafted from obsidian and diamond, it carries the symbolism of endurance meeting wisdom, of survival merging with wonder. The floating book above it turns gently, pages fluttering as though alive, whispering in a language no one fully understands. To stand before it is to feel small, in a reverent way, a reminder that progress sometimes requires surrendering to what can't be measured. The first time that purple glow spreads across a weapon, it feels like permission, as though the universe itself has decided you've earned a touch of its secret power. Fact 52. The glyphs that spiral around the enchantment table are not random nonsense, though they defy translation. They are an artistic language built from ancient video game symbols, borrowed from another age of code, repurposed into magic. Their flickering is rhythmic, almost breathing the table alive, with quiet intelligence. Players have tried for years to decipher the runes, only to discover that the mystery is the point. The enchantment language mirrors the nature of power itself. It cannot be fully known, only felt. To read it is to be reminded that beauty often hides in incomprehension, and that mystery, too, can protect. Fact 53. When you surround the table with bookshelves, the world listens. The room hums differently. Even torches seem quieter, their flames bowing to unseen winds. It is as though the books are not static. They are amplifiers of thought, conduits for memory. Every bookshelf adds depth to the enchantment, a symbolic act of feeding knowledge into the unknown. This ritual, so simple and mechanical, feels deeply spiritual. You are not just crafting, you are communing, asking the universe to remember what you have learned and to lend you its patience in return. The books whisper, and the table answers in purple. Fact 54. Enchanting an item is an act of trust. You offer up something familiar and receive back something changed. The result may thrill or disappoint, yet the process always feels meaningful. The purple shimmer that dances along a newly enchanted sword or pickaxe is like breath on glass, temporary yet intimate. Each enchantment is a signature written by chance and choice intertwined. The randomness frustrates some players, but others see it as divine humor, proof that even in control, there must be mystery. After all, what is enchantment if not faith that the unknown will still be kind? Fact 55. Some enchantments sound like prayers whispered into the dark. Unbreaking is hope against time. Protection is love in armor. Mending is grace, the world repairing itself through you. Each enchantment tells a small, human story, desires dressed as code. Players often forget how poetic their names truly are. Feather falling, soul speed, infinity. These aren't merely upgrades, they're philosophies. They teach that survival is more than mechanics. It is balance, resilience, compassion. Every glow, every soft hum of the enchanted item is the universe answering softly, saying, "Yes, I remember your wish." Fact 56. The glow of enchantment feels alive, as though it reacts to emotion. Watch closely, and you'll see it pulse differently under moonlight than in torchlight, like a living aura adjusting its breath. It casts shadows in colors that don't exist, quiet purples that make even iron seem ethereal. Many players find themselves simply holding enchanted tools and watching, not using them, just admiring. In those moments, the line between magic and craftsmanship dissolves. The glow is the game's reminder that every creation, even digital, holds a heartbeat when made with care. Fact 57. Anvils deepen the enchantment ritual into memory. Combining books, tools, and names becomes a way of storytelling. You're no longer crafting objects but legacies. To name a sword is to admit attachment. To repair it is to honor shared history. Every clang of the anvil adds another chapter to your adventure. When an enchanted weapon finally breaks beyond repair, it's not loss but closure, like the last page of a well-read book closing softly in your hands. Through enchantment and anvil, the game teaches the gentlest truth that even endings can glow. Fact 58. Villagers, especially librarians, add a social tenderness to enchantment. Trading with them for books feels communal knowledge passed from one quiet soul to another. Their libraries, lined with the same swirling runes, feel like sacred spaces built of trust. The act of trading emeralds for enchantments is a small metaphor. Wisdom is never free, yet it's always shared. Some players say the villagers' soft hums while trading sound like chants, blessings passed wordlessly. Perhaps, in their simplicity, they understand what enchantment truly means, giving the world's light a way to keep moving forward. Fact 59. There is an almost meditative joy in fishing up an enchanted book, that patient waiting, the gentle bob on the water, the sudden tug. It's as though the world rewards stillness with knowledge. You cast not just for items, but for meaning, trusting the current to bring something rare. When an enchanted book surfaces, wet and shimmering, it feels like a message, a letter from the deep, reminding you that good things drift to those who wait. The enchantments found this way often feel personal, as if chosen by the water itself. Fact 60. Enchantments are the poetry of persistence, the world's way of thanking players for staying long enough to listen. They blend science and superstition, patience and play. Every enchanted tool becomes a companion, a spark of personality glimmering within its purple veins. In a world of logic and numbers, enchantment is the heart's rebellion, proof that mystery still matters. It invites players to believe that their creations hold more than code, that intention can leave fingerprints even on pixels. Each glow, each rune, each whisper of light says softly, you are not just building the world is building you, too. Fact 61. Long before the combat we know today, there were whispers of weapons that never fully came to be, ideas flickering between design and deletion. The earliest developers experimented with spears, simple extensions of the sword's reach, elegant but unwieldy in blocky hands. They vanished before the public ever wielded them, yet traces remain in the game's earliest files, half-finished models lost like fossils of intention. Some say the phantom code still stirs. Rare glitches make thrown tridents behave strangely, as though remembering the shape they once shared. These forgotten spears remind us that not every weapon is meant for battle. Some exist only as dreams the world once considered. Fact 62. There were once murmurs of clubs, crude, heavy tools designed for raw force, slower than swords but devastating in impact. They were tested in secret versions, their knockback immense, their rhythm primal, but they lacked grace. And Minecraft has always been a game of rhythm over rage, so the clubs were removed, leaving only the echo of their weight in the swing of an axe. Players who mod the game sometimes resurrect them, giving form to that ancient memory. When they strike, the sound feels older than code, like thunder, remembering how it once shaped the world before tools learned refinement. Fact 63. The dagger was once rumored to exist, quick and quiet, meant for the shadows. Its code fragments hinted at a weapon of precision, small damage, but swift recovery. It was stealth's promise, the dream of those who wanted combat to dance rather than clash. But Minecraft's rhythm resisted secrecy. Its battles were open, honest, sunlit. The dagger's code was swallowed by updates, its edge dulled before it ever shone. Yet players still craft roleplays around it, using shears or sticks as stand-ins, honoring that lost whisper of elegance. In that way, the dagger still breathes unseen but remembered in imagination's soft corners. Fact 64. Before shields found their home, there were attempts at bucklers, smaller, rounder defenses that could deflect only briefly. They were meant to make combat feel like conversation, a series of rhythmic exchanges, but testing showed imbalance. They blocked too much or too little, and so they faded. What remains is the ghost of that idea in today's mechanics, the perfect timing of parries, the gentle rhythm between hit and block. The buckler was never officially born, but its spirit still lingers in every careful duel, in every moment when a player raises defense not from fear, but from artful timing. Fact 65. There are myths of the fire spear, an ancient prototype born during early nether testing. It was meant to harness lava itself, a weapon that could ignite foes, but at the cost of the wielder's safety. It flickered briefly in concept art, then disappeared into rumor. Some players claim to see flashes of its particle effect when nether mobs glitch, a single red spark that behaves like a thrown ember. The fire spear represents Minecraft's quiet philosophy that every creation must balance danger with wonder. Too much power burns the world, too little, and the flame forgets to dance. Fact 66. A weapon once codenamed Boomstick existed deep in test servers, a crude attempt at ranged combat before bows were perfected. It fired pebbles instead of arrows, powered by redstone bursts that drained instantly. Its noise was chaotic, its accuracy laughable, but players loved its wildness. The developers removed it quietly, saying it didn't fit the tone, yet its DNA lingers every explosion from TNT. Every click of a crossbow carries a hint of its laughter. It was the game's first flirtation with chaos, proof that even in a world of order, there's room for beautiful mistakes. Fact 67. The Morning Star, a spiked ball of iron attached to chain, once existed only as a thought experiment. It would have swung with delayed gravity, making every strike feel heavy, deliberate. The code couldn't capture its physics, so it was abandoned. But the image of it persists in fan art and mods, symbolizing what Minecraft's combat could have been: brutal, medieval, grounded. The Morning Star is legend precisely because it failed to exist, a weapon that lives in imagination more vividly than any block could render, forever swinging in a dream of might the game chose not to follow. Fact 68. The throwing knife, a mechanic once buried in unused assets, was meant to make combat graceful from a distance. Players would have hurled small blades that returned like echoes, fast but fragile. The system broke easily, knives vanished through walls, hit mobs twice, or hung in midair like silver constellations. So the feature was cut, but its poetry remained the beauty of motion without permanence. When tridents were later introduced, many recognized the echo, the evolution of a forgotten dream. The throwing knife never died. It simply learned to return as thunder instead of steel. Fact 69. There was once an experimental weapon, known only as the crystal rod, designed to channel stored light. Crafted from amethyst and blaze, it was meant to charge during day and release bursts at night. The idea was breathtaking, to literally wield the rhythm of the world, but too ambitious. The mechanics broke, and the rod dimmed into myth. Still, players swear that enchanted tools under sunlight sometimes flash brighter than they should, a faint nod to that lost concept. The crystal rod remains a dream of equilibrium, proof that even code can long to hold light. Fact 70. Not every forgotten weapon was lost. Some simply evolved into something else. Spears became tridents, bucklers became shields, crystals became beacons. Every abandoned line of code was compost, feeding the future. Minecraft's combat is less an armory and more a garden, pruning and blooming endlessly. The lost weapons are its roots unseen, essential, reminders that absence also shapes the living. When you swing your sword or raise your shield, you're echoing all those forgotten dreams that never left completely. They hum beneath every update, the ghosts of what might have been, still teaching the world how to fight beautifully. Fact 71. The shield is the calmest weapon in Minecraft. It doesn't sing like the sword or flash like the trident. It simply waits. Introduced to replace dual wielding, it became a symbol of stillness, a reminder that defense is its own kind of bravery. The way it rises with a quiet click feels ritualistic, like the world holding its breath. Each block, each parry, is a meditation, a pause between storms. Players learned patience through shields, the art of timing over chaos. They taught that courage doesn't always charge forward. Sometimes it stands firm, lets the blow arrive, and absorbs it with grace. Fact 72. Bows were the first instruments of distance, the elegant breath between danger and safety. They transformed combat into rhythm, replacing panic with precision. Every shot is a dialogue with the horizon, a question sent into the air. Will it land? In that silence before the arrow strikes, the game feels alive, suspended between creation and consequence. The bow's design never changed much because it was already perfect. Wood, string, purpose. Its curve mirrors the arc of the world itself. To master it is to master patience, and to hear that soft twang is to know the sound of possibility. Fact 73. The arrow is the simplest form of technology in the game. A stick, a feather, and a shard of stone or metal. Yet it represents progress itself. To craft an arrow is to understand precision, to turn chaos into direction. Each one flies like thought, brief, deliberate, irreversible. Enchanted arrows shimmer like dreams, carrying not only damage but meaning. Tipped arrows glow faintly in the dark, small beacons of intention. They remind us that power can travel silently, that impact is not always about noise. Every shot is a wish made visible, a line of light that says, I tried. Fact 74. The bow and enchantment table share an intimacy few notice. When a bow is enchanted with power or infinity, it becomes more than a weapon. It becomes willpower given form. The moment the arrow leaves, it carries part of the player's breath, infinite, not through code but through intent. Infinity bows feel sacred, their quiverless design almost monastic, teaching restraint through abundance. There's something deeply meditative about drawing one, the sound stretching like silk, the world narrowing to a single moment of focus. It's not violence, it's art, the art of letting go beautifully. Fact 75. Crossbows entered the world like thunder after centuries of quiet. Heavier, slower, louder, they broke the silence the bow had perfected. Yet their click and snap brought a different kind of poetry, one made of certainty rather than suspense. To load a crossbow is to prepare, to commit. Its tension hums like a held breath. When released, the sound is final, echoing through caves and forests like a heartbeat that refuses to falter. The crossbow doesn't question, it declares. It embodies the moment when patience becomes decision, when quiet faith in your aim turns into sound and motion. Fact 76. The quick charge enchantment changed the rhythm of battle suddenly. Silence shortened, tempo quickened. Combat became a dance of anticipation, every reload a measure in a song of intent. There's beauty in that acceleration, the feeling of becoming fluent in momentum. The hum of reloading is like a whispered countdown, a promise to act. For players who love precision, quick charge feels like mastery of time itself, reducing delay until reaction and thought become one. The enchantment turns mechanical repetition into art, teaching that even in chaos, rhythm can still exist, and even speed can carry grace. Fact 77. Piercing is one of the strangest and most poetic enchantments. Arrows no longer stop at the first obstacle. They pass through, continuing their journey as if carrying unfinished stories. Each projectile becomes a metaphor, persistence embodied in flight. It reminds players that force isn't always about destruction, but about continuation, about reaching what lies beyond resistance. Watching a piercing arrow slice through a crowd feels otherworldly, like light refusing to fade. It's as though the arrow remembers every wall that once stopped it and decides, quietly, not this time. It is freedom, coded in motion. Fact 78. Firework rockets transformed the crossbow from a weapon into spectacle. They made battle luminous explosions of color blooming, mid-air, half danger, half celebration. When loaded, the crossbow became a sky painter, each shot a small festival in flight. It blurred the line between combat and art, reminding players that even violence can carry beauty when wielded with intention. Firework bolts are absurd and beautiful, destructive and dazzling. They turn every duel into a performance, every arrow into a star. And when the sky bursts open in flame and light, it feels as though the world is applauding your courage. Fact 79. Shields and ranged weapons share a delicate balance, defense and distance, yin and yang. Together they embody the cycle of survival itself, the rise and retreat, the strike and shelter. A player blocking arrows with a shield feels the world's poetry, first-hand tension meeting stillness. The ringing sound of deflection is oddly comforting, like rainfall on a roof. It's the game's way of saying, you are safe, for now. These mechanics, often overlooked, are tiny lessons in coexistence, that creation and conflict, offense and defense, can exist not in opposition, but in eternal dialogue. Fact 80. Bows, crossbows, and shields form a trinity of rhythm, three instruments in the orchestra of combat. The bow is melody, the crossbow percussion, the shield harmony. Each one relies on timing. Each one defines silence differently. Together, they make battle feel like music, structured, emotional, fleeting. When mastered, their interplay becomes meditation in motion, where thought disappears and instinct hums. And when the fight ends, when arrows fall quiet and shields lower, the player hears what was always underneath, the rhythm of breath, the soft pulse of creation itself, the heartbeat that keeps every world alive. Fact 81. Leather armor is the game's first embrace, soft, imperfect, and human. Crafted from the hides of gentle creatures, it carries the earliest lessons of survival, gratitude, and humility. It offers little defense, yet immense comfort, a reminder that protection begins not with power, but with care. The faint creak it makes as you move feels intimate, almost alive, like the whisper of something handmade. Dyed in colors, it becomes self-expression, the first step toward identity. Leather armor is innocence, made wearable, fragile proof that beginnings need not be strong to be beautiful, that sometimes gentleness itself is a form of courage. Fact 82. Chainmail armor exists like a ghost between ages, a relic from experiments never meant for survival mode. Originally unobtainable without commands, it became the whispered treasure of old players, shimmering faintly like myth. Its links seemed to hum softly, as though remembering fires long cooled. Crafted not by hands but by code, chainmail is the armor of liminality, neither crafted nor found, existing in the quiet margins of possibility. To wear it feels like walking in memory's clothing, each link a story of what might have been. It's the sound of transition, the metallic sigh between past and future. Fact 83. Iron armor marks the first true moment of confidence. Heavy, clinking, steadfast, it turns fear into strategy, vulnerability into readiness. When you put on a full set for the first time, the world seems to acknowledge it. Mobs retreat slower, storms sound softer, the chestplate gleams like resolve, the helmet narrows vision just enough to make every step intentional. Iron armor is not glamour, it's purpose, survival made audible with every quiet step across stone. It's the sound of determination, the echo of progress itself. For many players, it's the first time the world stops feeling impossible. Fact 84. Gold armor glows with contradiction, fragile majesty, soft glory. Its luster is unmatched, catching light as if made from sunlight's skin. Yet it breaks easily, as though reminding players that beauty has limits. Piglins adore it, drawn to its sheen as if hypnotized, and in their reverence lies truth. Gold is not for fighting, but for belonging. It connects worlds through admiration rather than fear. To wear it is to invite peace, to choose allure over aggression. Gold armor is the poet's armor, defending not the body, but the heart's desire to be seen shining, even briefly, against the dark. Fact 85. Diamond armor is discipline manifested. Every piece is forged through hours of descent mining, melting, crafting each ingot a small victory. When you wear it, you're wrapped in memory, every scratch a reminder of perseverance. Its hue mirrors the sky, as though carrying daylight underground. Diamond armor is not simply protection, it's identity, the visible proof of mastery. The soft shimmer that moves across its plates feels alive, breathing with you, proud yet humble. Many players keep their first set forever, displayed in frames like relics, because diamond armor is more than strength, it's arrival. Fact 86. Netherite armor isn't meant to shine, it's meant to endure. Its blackened surface absorbs light, swallowing reflection like time itself. When worn, it feels less like equipment and more like evolution, as though the world itself has wrapped you in its oldest skin. Each step feels deliberate, heavy with history. Unlike diamond, netherite doesn't seek admiration, it whispers endurance, a quiet defiance against the elements. Its armor that's seen the fire and returned unscathed, its silence louder than brilliance. To walk in netherite is to move like a mountain, steady, solemn, unbreakable even when the world trembles. Fact 87. The sound of armor, that soft metallic shuffle, is the song of survival itself. Players hear it subconsciously and feel safe, even in darkness. Each clink and clatter is a heartbeat rendered in iron and code. It's rhythmic, hypnotic, a soundtrack to resilience. When stripped away, silence feels exposed, the air colder. That sound carries memory of caves braved, of nights endured. Armor doesn't just protect from harm, it sings a lullaby of persistence. It tells the world, I'm still here, and the world, recognizing the melody, answers with quiet respect. Fact 88. The armor stand is the museum of courage, a silent guardian displaying what you've survived. Empty suits gleam like ghosts frozen mid-journey, their posture oddly human. Players decorate them like altars, dressing them in stories, enchanted sets from raids, trophies from the end, relics from forgotten updates. The stand turns armor into art, turning defense into memory. In multiplayer worlds, rows of them shimmer like ancestors watching over new generations. They remind everyone who passes that protection is temporary, but remembrance is eternal. Every polished chestplate a whisper. Someone was brave enough to wear this once. Fact 89. Each armor material embodies a different philosophy of living. Leather speaks of gentleness. Iron preaches discipline. Gold celebrates beauty. Diamond honors perseverance. Netherite declares legacy. To move through these stages is to mirror the player's personal journey from beginner to builder, from wanderer to guardian. Armor is not just progression. It's autobiography written in minerals. Every upgrade is a reflection of growth, a chapter where survival gains meaning beyond necessity. In this way, the armor you wear is never just about what you face. It's about who you've become while facing it. Fact 90. The cycle of armor is the rhythm of the game's heart. Creation, protection, loss, renewal. Each set wears down, breaks, and is reborn through new effort. Players learn through it that nothing lasts forever, yet everything returns transformed. When your armor finally cracks in battle, it's not tragedy but testimony, proof that it fulfilled its purpose. You craft again, not to repeat, but to remember. Armor teaches the same lesson life does. Strength is not in permanence, but in the courage to rebuild, to shine again, to continue walking through the dark, fully dressed in hope. Fact 91. Minecraft's combat system, for all its simplicity, hides a secret rhythm, a pulse woven beneath the clicks. The cooldown mechanic, that tiny pause between swings, turns battle into choreography. It punishes impatience and rewards timing, teaching players that strength isn't speed, but awareness. The meter feels like a breath drawn between heartbeats. Striking too soon wastes power. Striking with patience makes it sing. This rhythm gives combat a heartbeat, a soft tempo that mirrors the world's natural flow. Rise, pause, fall. Those who fight to the rhythm win gracefully. Those who rush fall to silence. It's the quietest lesson the game ever teaches, that balance is strength. Fact 92. Durability is the language of mortality, written into every weapon and armor piece. Each number ticking downward is time passing, each repair a defiance of decay. It teaches respect that power is borrowed, not owned. The crack that appears before a tool shatters is a kind of mercy, a reminder to care for what serves you. Players who repair rather than replace learn reverence for persistence. Through durability, the game whispers that everything, even strength, has limits, and that honoring those limits is wiser than ignoring them. It is not weakness to wear down. It is proof of use, proof of living. Fact 93. Critical hits are not random luck. They're grace born from precision. The mechanic rewards the moment when movement and intent align, when a player leaps with faith and strikes at the exact peak of motion. It's a small miracle encoded in combat, a fleeting instant where mastery meets instinct. The spark that flashes upon contact feels like the game itself, acknowledging your rhythm, saying, "Yes, that was perfect." Critical hits remind players that power doesn't come from repetition but from awareness, from knowing when to act, not just how. They are the poetry of motion turned into damage. Fact 94. Knockback, often dismissed as annoyance, is in truth momentum made visible, the invisible exchange of energy between combatants. Every hit is both impact and consequence. To strike is also to send away. It creates space, rhythm, breath. It prevents battle from becoming chaos, turning it instead into ebb and flow. Skilled players use it like wind, positioning opponents, guiding combat's dance. There's something beautifully ironic in its violence that grants distance, force that creates peace. A reminder that even conflict must make room for air. Knockback isn't rejection, it's release. The world sighing between blows. Fact 95. The game calculates invulnerability, frames tiny, invisible moments after damage when you cannot be hurt again. Most never notice them, yet they are mercy coded into chaos. These fractions of safety are the heartbeat of fairness, ensuring that pain never arrives without pause. They make combat feel humane, giving even the overwhelmed a chance to breathe. It's an unseen kindness, the idea that the world, though dangerous, is not cruel. Every survival story owes quiet thanks to these hidden intervals of grace. They prove that even in a world built on logic, empathy can be written in code. Fact 96. Sweeping attacks with swords were added not for spectacle, but for poetry to make combat feel fluid, to reward movement over static striking. When the blade arcs through the air, dust swirling and enemies falling together, it feels almost balletic. The swing connects one heartbeat to another, one target to the next. The sweep teaches awareness that battle isn't a flurry of blows, but a flow of motion. Watching sparks ripple outward like wind is strangely soothing. It's combat as art form, rhythm and reach, replacing violence with grace, turning survival into a slow, silent dance. Fact 97. Armor toughness, an often overlooked stat, hides in plain sight, a subtle guardian behind numbers. It governs how much damage scales, softening heavy blows like a silent hand catching stones. It makes netherite feel patient, diamond feel honest, and leather feel fragile but fair. Toughness ensures that even the hardest hit still feels survivable, that hope always lingers one heart away. Its invisible design philosophy balance, disguised as mercy. The player never sees it working, but feels its presence every time they barely survive. Armor toughness is the whisper that says, "You are not done yet. Keep breathing." Fact 98. Combat's soundscape is more deliberate than most realize. Every strike, block, and hurt noise is tuned to human rhythm, quick, percussive, emotional. The thud of impact, the metallic ring of defense, the soft pop of a critical hit, they form an orchestra of effort. Without realizing it, players fight to the beat. Silence after battle feels heavy because the sound stops, not the danger. Each noise is feedback and comfort, reassurance that the world acknowledges your struggle. The sound design transforms survival into music, one composed not of melody, but of meaning. Every clang, a small hymn to endurance. Fact 99. Food mechanics quietly shape combat more than weapons do. The hunger bar's slow ebb controls regeneration, forcing rhythm even outside the fight. To eat mid-battle is to perform a ritual of resilience, the sound of chewing under pressure, absurd yet profound. It reminds players that survival is sustained, not achieved, that victory depends as much on nourishment as on strength. The warm glow of regeneration hearts afterward feels deeply human, like catching your breath after panic. Minecraft's combat is honest in this way. It asks not only, can you fight, but also, can you remember to take care? Fact 100. The final secret of combat is that it was never meant to dominate the game, it was meant to harmonize with it. Every sword swing, every arrow fired, every shield raised is simply a pause between creation. Minecraft's battles are fleeting, purposeful interruptions in a larger symphony of building, exploring, and imagining. True mastery isn't victory, but balance, knowing when to fight and when to lay your weapon down. The code doesn't glorify destruction, it celebrates rhythm, patience, understanding. In the end, combat is not about ending lives, but about learning how to live more carefully. Fact 101. Every server has its myths, weapons that never existed in official code but lived vividly in story. The Sword of the Void was one such legend, said to have been crafted from obsidian and light itself. Players told of its infinite durability, of a blade that could cut through time, leaving no drops, only silence. No one ever saw it, yet screenshots circulated, grainy and sacred. It became a metaphor for perfection, a weapon that could never break because it was never real. The Sword of the Void wasn't born from crafting tables, but from longing, proof that imagination is the most powerful enchantment of all. Fact 102. The Pickaxe of Infinity began as a joke among early miners, a tool that could clear mountains in one swing, carve tunnels like rivers. Yet over time it became something deeper, the symbol of endless work. Players whispered that those who mined too long might dream of it, a phantom pickaxe that digs by itself, forever searching. It's the ghost of obsession, the tool of those who can't stop exploring. No damage value, no drop, no end, just rhythm. The Pickaxe of Infinity is the dream of creation without fatigue, the silent hum of purpose that never sleeps. Fact 103. Some players still tell of the Whispering Bow, an artifact from forgotten realms. Its arrows supposedly carried messages, not sound, but emotion. When fired in grief, it left trails of gray smoke. When fired in joy, gold. Those who used it said it could never miss, because it didn't aim at bodies but at truth. Of course, no such weapon was ever coded, but the stories linger in server lore and bedtime tales. The Whispering Bow reminds players that every arrow, even digital, carries intention, that combat, when tempered with empathy, becomes communication, not destruction. Fact 104. The Trident of the Drowned King is a tale born from shipwreck servers, a myth of loyalty and vengeance. Players said it was once wielded by a drowned monarch whose kingdom sank beneath code and salt. The trident glowed faintly green and returned only to those pure of purpose. Some swore they saw its silhouette flash through storms, a glimmer beneath the sea. Whether it was a bug or a story hardly mattered. The myth lives because it feels true, the ocean's memory of sovereignty, a weapon not of control but of remembrance, forever swimming through the ruins of forgotten worlds. Fact 105. The flame harp was not forged, but played a bow that sang instead of shot, its strings woven from blaze rods and melody. Arrows fired from it left trails of burning notes, chords that lingered in the air before fading. Its legend spread through creative worlds, where players used redstone to simulate its hum. The harp became a symbol of balance, beauty entwined with danger. It reminded builders that destruction could still be artful, that fire, when given voice, might heal as much as harm. Even now, redstone musicians recreate its myth, tuning flame into lullaby. Fact 106. The Ender Blade is the weapon of dreamers who stare too long into the purple haze of the end. Said to be forged from the tears of Endermen, it flickered with portals and cut holes in reality, Legends claim those struck by it didn't die, they vanished, transported to distant chunks with no way home. The sword was both curse and mercy, exile and escape. It represents the mystery of the end itself, not death, but disappearance. The Enderblade is the player's fear of losing themselves to exploration, of wandering too far and becoming part of the void they once sought. Fact 107. The blade of grass may sound humble, but its myth is one of harmony, crafted, they said, by a wanderer who refused to kill. It absorbed the energy of the land instead of striking it. Each swing planted wildflowers. Each block broken healed the soil. No damage number, no drop, just quiet restoration. The weapon never left creative servers, yet its idea still blooms, that even tools of battle can nurture. The blade of grass became the gardener's emblem, a soft rebellion against aggression. In its imagined green glow lies the heart of the game growth, not destruction. Fact 108. The anvil's edge was a mythical sword, said to be reforged 1,000 times without breaking. Each repair made it stronger, its surface engraved with the memories of past battles. Players told stories of its hum, a low metallic drone that grew deeper with every anvil strike. To wield it was to wield history itself. Some claimed the weapon glowed brighter the longer it lived, as if honoring its own endurance. Though no such item exists, the legend survives as metaphor, that what we mend becomes more powerful than what was never broken. Fact 109. The frozen heart shield was a defensive artifact rumored to form when a glacier met lightning in a far northern seed. Crafted of packed ice and snow quartz, it could deflect both arrows and fireballs with equal ease. But its legend lies not in defense. It was said to whisper lullabies to calm hostile mobs nearby. The frozen heart was protection through peace, a weapon that soothed the world instead of striking it. Many builders kept replicas of it near snowy bases, not for battle but for serenity, proof that even defense can sing softly when born from stillness. Fact 110. The last of the great legends is the creator's hammer, not an item but an idea. Said to belong to the first player, it could unmake blocks with a touch and rebuild them elsewhere instantly. Builders tell that the hammer struck once to create the world, and once more to forget its own power. Some claim that every block placed is an echo of that first swing, that players are simply fragments of its forgotten memory. The creator's hammer is myth and metaphor intertwined, a reminder that every player is a god in disguise, shaping and reshaping the same eternal dream. Fact 111. Power in Minecraft has never truly been about domination. It's about harmony. Every weapon, every armor piece, every enchantment exists to balance fear with creativity. The strongest players are rarely the most aggressive. They're the ones who build after battle, who protect as much as they strike. The game whispers a simple truth beneath all its code. Power that forgets gentleness becomes hollow. To carry a sword in one hand and a block in the other is the world's purest symbol, creation and destruction, held in equal measure. Power is not control. It's responsibility softened by imagination, strength tempered by love for what you've made. Fact 112. The rhythm of combat teaches patience, a slow pulse between strike and breath. It mirrors real life's tension. When to act, when to pause, when to trust stillness. Players who learn this rhythm often find themselves calmer outside the game, their movements thoughtful, their tempers steadied. Minecraft, disguised as simplicity, becomes meditation through motion. Every weapon swing is a question of timing, and every block placed afterward is the answer. In its gentle repetition, the game becomes a teacher, whispering that power without awareness is noise, but power with rhythm becomes art, deliberate, meaningful, and quietly eternal. Fact 113. To wear armor is to make a promise, to endure. But it also means to accept limitation, that no matter how strong the plates, vulnerability remains beneath them. Minecraft's armor system subtly reminds players of this balance. Even netherite, immune to fire, cannot guard against the void. There is always something deeper, something unguarded, and yet that's where beauty lies, in trying anyway, in crafting protection, not because it makes you invincible, but because it lets you explore just a little farther. Power, then, is not about invulnerability, it's about courage, dressed in careful preparation. Fact 114. Every battle tells a story, even the smallest one. When two players face each other, or when a wanderer fights through a storm of mobs, the outcome matters less than the poetry of the attempt. Minecraft's combat, gentle yet deliberate, mirrors the human condition: effort without cruelty, triumph without gloating. The spark that appears when a hit lands is symbolic, light, born from impact. It's not just a visual cue, it's philosophy rendered in pixels. Each encounter is a dialogue, not a conquest. And when it ends, the world remains unchanged, yet quietly wiser for having witnessed the exchange. Fact 115. Weapons in Minecraft aren't evil by design, they're tools for expression. A sword can defend a village, or it can destroy one. The intent behind the swing defines the morality, not the item itself. The game trusts players with that choice, never lecturing, only showing consequences. This quiet neutrality is profound. It makes every act of kindness or cruelty fully yours. In a way, the crafting table is a mirror. What you create reveals what you value. Each strike or shelter built from the same materials, both outcomes valid, both true. Power, then, becomes a form of self-portraiture. Fact 116. When a player dies and their items scatter like stars, it isn't punishment, it's renewal. The world reclaims what was borrowed. That small tragedy carries grace, reminding us that ownership in Minecraft is temporary, that what truly endures is effort, not possession. To rebuild after death is to participate in the cycle the game adores, loss feeding creation. Every sword recrafted, every armor piece reforged is resurrection. Power, then, is not in what can be kept, but in what can be remade. To fall and rise again, endlessly, is the purest form of strength, quiet, humble, infinite. Fact 117. The enchantment system itself embodies philosophy, chance meeting, intention. You prepare carefully, gather books, build shelves, but the final outcome always carries mystery. It's a lesson about surrender, doing your best, then letting go. Some enchantments bless you with grace, others frustrate with imperfection. Both outcomes are meaningful. The purple glow afterward isn't triumph, it's transformation, a reminder that all creation carries uncertainty. To embrace that is to understand life itself. We can plan, design, and hope, but the world always adds its own touch, its own quiet randomness that makes each story truly alive. Fact 118. Community servers show another face of power collective strength. A lone sword defends one, a group protects many. Players who build fortresses together, who share resources and defend each other from raids, learn that unity is the truest enchantment. The laughter between battles, the quiet teamwork in rebuilding walls. Those are invisible stats, immeasurable yet vital. Power shared becomes peace. Minecraft's multiplayer is proof that strength multiplies through kindness. Even the mightiest warriors rely on others to watch their back. Together, they redefine what victory means: not conquest, but coexistence; not survival alone, but survival together. Fact 119. There is poetry in the act of setting weapons aside. When battles end and players mount their blades on walls or frame them near fireplaces, they perform a ritual older than games, the return of power to peace. Those weapons become memories, art pieces of former struggle. The flickering torchlight on the blade is not war's reflection but gratitude's. Minecraft's gentle world always invites rest after storm, creation after conflict. To hang your sword is not weakness, it's wisdom. Even heroes must sleep, and even the strongest steel deserves to cool beside the quiet hum of safety. Fact 120. The final truth of Minecraft's weapons and armor is that they were never about fighting, they were about becoming. Each upgrade, each enchantment, each repair mirrors the player's own growth. The game begins in fear but ends in mastery, and somewhere in between, fear transforms into respect. When the armor gleams under starlight and the sword rests by the bed, the world feels whole, a dream balanced between danger and peace. Power in Minecraft is not conquest. It's understanding the wisdom to create, to destroy, and to rest, knowing both acts serve the same quiet purpose: to keep the world alive.